Hi there everybody, welcome back to my channel, Boomy Reactions. For those of you who are new, I'm Boomy. Hello, thank you for watching. And for everyone else, welcome back my lovelies. Now today, guys, oh my gosh, 20,000 subs. Woo! Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Thank you so much for all your support, guys. It's crazy. I didn't think that I would ever get to this point. So, oh my gosh, thank you. And in celebration, today I'm going to be making a sweet potato pie. So I'm going to be following Kent Rawlins' recipe, as always. So come and check out what I'm going to be doing today, guys. Let's make a start on making the pastry. So come and check out. Come on. Right. Okay, guys, let's get started. So as you can see in the mixing bowl here, I have already weighed myself out about 300 grams of plain flour, which in Kent's recipe is about 2.5 cups. So there is our plain flour. And I have measured myself out here a tablespoon of cinnamon and a very stingy tablespoon of cloves, of ground cloves. And I'll tell you for why. Because I'm not overly keen on cloves, so I'm trying to stay as true to the recipe as possible, but I have admittedly been a little bit stingy with those cloves and been very generous with the cinnamon because I love cinnamon. I've also put in there like a pinch of salt. I don't think that's in Kent's recipe, but normally I would put a little teeny weeny bit of salt in my pastry. So there we are. I'm going to add these to the flour and give them a mix in. There we go. With our fork, just make sure they're well mixed in, all incorporated together. It smells absolutely amazing. It smells like Christmas. I know it's like a Thanksgiving recipe, but for us Brits, this just smells like Christmas. It smells gorgeous. I always think cloves smell better than they taste in recipes. I don't know, maybe I associate it more with like savory recipes, like with ham, but only like a little pinch. Right, okay guys, so into our dry ingredients here, I have measured myself out 225 grams of butter. So this is nearly a pack of butter in the UK. So here we go. Let's pop these in. And I'm just going to cut these into cubes, which will make it slightly easier to work into the flour. So bear with me while I chop these up. There we go. Pop that over there. And we are going to, so I'm going to take my fork and I'm going to work it into the flour. I think this would be a little bit easier with one of the pastry cutters that Kent uses, but he says it's okay to do this with a fork. So here we go. And the butter is chilled. It's come straight out the fridge. So, you know, it's quite hard. I would normally do this with my fingers. So I would normally rub the butter into the flour in any of our pie tart recipes here from the UK, but I'm not going to do that with this one because Kent specifies, he very specifically says that you don't want a fine cracker-like consistency. Is that what Kent describes it as? So I don't want a fine crumb, when normally that would be what I was aiming for whenever I would do this in one of our recipes. So I do want nice little chunks of butter still in that pastry there. So that is the consistency that we're going for. Oh, it just smells so good already. And now because I'm cutting the butter into it, oh, it smells really buttery. It just reminds me of Christmas. So really get in there. So I was quite tempted to put some nutmeg in this pastry seasoning, but no, I thought no. I'm gonna stay true to the recipe. Ken says cinnamon and cloves, and that's what we'll stick with. I think there is nutmeg in the pie filling, so I love nutmeg, but I didn't want it to because I've never made this before. I'm not really sure what the flavour ratios should be, so I didn't really want to, you know, overdo it with the nutmeg, which wouldn't be terrible, I don't think anyway. Be a tasty fail. So like I say, this butter has come straight out the fridge, so it's very hard. Try and locate all of those big chunkier bits. There we are. So one thing that is different about this pastry crust, more different than what I'm used to making, is that I would normally, if it is a dessert, I would normally put sugar in my pie crust. Any of the recipes that I've used up until now, they have had a sweet pie crust. And this one doesn't contain any sugar. So that's slightly different. Be interesting to see how it comes together with the filling, with the crust not being as sweet. Right, okay guys, I think that's more or less ready. Let me show you. We've still got some nice chunks of butter in there. They're not too big, you know. So I think we're there. We're ready. So the next step is we've got some ice cold water that I've just got from the fridge. It's about half a cup of water in here. And I'm going to add it gradually until it starts to come together into like a smooth dough. So I might not need all of it. It's coming together nicely. So it kind of seems a little bit similar to the biscuits pastry in that I think it's going to be quite rough because we've got those big chunks of butter. But oh my gosh, the biscuits dough was a lovely dough to work with. It was just easy, you know. A lot of the pastry doughs that I work with any recipes that I use over here, they're quite a tacky dough, and it's so ready to absorb more flour, so it becomes quite difficult to work with. Or some doughs are quite short, so they take a lot of effort really binding it together. But the biscuit dough, it's lovely, just easy. So if it's anything like this, so I'm thinking actually we may be using all of that water and possibly a little bit more. Like Kent says, you know, where you're making this is going to make a difference as to how much additional flour you need or additional water. I'm sure humidity factors into it as well. Altitude. I think he said when he was, you know, making recipes in like higher altitudes, it definitely impacts how much water or flour you need to add. There we go. Nearly used all of it. Yeah, I'm actually thinking we might need to add a little bit more, which is fine. I don't want it to be too sticky. Really gathering up on the fork there. Yeah, I'm thinking a little bit more water there. Now that's all of that half a cup used. Let's see if it needs a little more. Oof, that sound of the fork catching the bottom of the bowl goes through me. It's coming together. I'm just going to pour out a little bit more water, so it's here on standby just in case I need it. So just bear with me. There we go. I don't think we'll need more than that if we do need any, but it's still quite dry at the bottom there. Right, there's only one thing for it, guys. I'm going to have to get stuck in with my hands. It's lovely and soft. I think it is still, actually, it's quite tacky there. Do you know, might be enough water there. There's nice colour on this pastry from the cloves and the cinnamon. And we can still see it's beautifully speckled with that butter there. So it's coming together nicely now. Pop the bowl that way. Can you see this, guys? See those flakes of butter that are still in there? Beautiful. Oh, I'm going to end up getting sticky hands all over my flour now. That wasn't clever, was it, guys? Ooh. Oh, it's lovely and soft. It is a lovely dough to work with. So again, I think I'm calling it a rough puff. Over here, I would probably describe this dough as like more of a rough puff, like to get that flaky consistency. And it's just lovely and soft, so easy to work with. Right, we're nearly there. Nearly all lovely and bind together. And I don't want to overwork the dough, so I'm going to be very careful to not do that. Right, guys, I can still see some slight flecks of butter in here. The pastry is all binded together. And again, I don't want to run the risk of overworking it, so I think that is done. I'm just going to grab my rolling pin. Righty-ho, okay. Now, when Kent made this pastry crust, he rolled it over the rolling pin and popped it in the ice box. So I'm going to be popping it in the fridge. So it needs to be, you know, it can't be too tacky because then it's just going to stick to itself. It's going to stick to the rolling pin. Ooh, some nice marbling in there from the butter. Not too much, but it's there. So make sure it's nicely floured. It is a lovely, lovely dough. That might sound like a bizarre thing to keep saying, but it's so manageable. It's so soft, and it does what you're telling it to. It behaves. It's a lovely, lovely dough. Give that a flip. And how thin did Kent say that this needed to be again? Was it the width of Duke's ear? The width of a dog's ear. Okay, I'm going to have to, without getting bento in here, I'm going to have to use a little bit of imagination, use my better judgment. So it's going on the 10-inch skillet. I think he said there was enough pastry for a 9-inch skillet or Dutch oven. I'm going to be using one of my beautiful cast iron skillets today. So it needs to be big enough to go around that. So bear that in mind. Keep it nice and floured so we're not going to have any stickage. Just quickly, guys, I know this is quite a British thing to ask you, but what is the weather like where you guys are? It is a favourite topic of conversation amongst British people because our weather is it's mild, but it's so changeable. And then it affects all of our plans. It affects what you wear when you go out through the door. So yes, as a British person, I'm going to be asking all of you, what's the weather like where you are, guys? It's quite overcast here at the minute, but it's getting chilly. So you know, autumn or fall is just around the corner. So this is a wonderful recipe to be doing right now. It's got those beautiful smells of autumn or Christmas, as I said before. It smells quite Christmassy to me. So I might have actually rolled that a little bit too much. There we go. Oh, it's actually wider than my rolling pin. So I don't know if you can see this here, guys. I'd say that's the width of a dog's ear. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to imitate Kent. And I'm just going to loosely just check that's not sticking. I'm going to give it a little dusting just to be on the safe side. I don't want it sticking, otherwise I'll have to re-roll it out. And then I don't want to run the risk of, you know, making that pastry quite tough. So a pastry that isn't overly rolled is a happy pastry in the majority of recipes. Ooh, this nice, neat little pastry Swiss roll there. Right, there we go, guys. Pastry crust, done, rolled out. I'm going to pop it in the fridge. So now it's going to sit in the fridge for about 2 hours, Ken says. I really should cover this. I think I might cling film it or saran wrap it and then pop it in the fridge for these 2 hours. And I will see you in 2 hours when hopefully this pastry is nice and rested and ready to go in the skillet. So see you in a bit, guys. Okay, guys, 2 hours has passed. So I have pre-peeled some sweet potatoes here. So Kent says 3 sweet potatoes, but these are particularly small sweet potatoes. So I've got 6 small ones. I think that's around like 600 grams. So I'm assuming the average sweet potato is about maybe 200 grams. So I've got 6 here. Anyway, so they are peeled. I am going to chop these up and then I'm going to put them in my boiling pan over there. Running out of space on my chopping board. So I'll get these started just before I get the pastry out and then, you know, a bit of time saving there. So I'm not standing around twiddling my thumbs, waiting for the sweet potatoes to boil. I know I've asked this before, guys, but could you bake the sweet potatoes? Like normally when I'm preparing sweet potatoes, I would bake them because they're relatively straightforward to just kind of chuck in the oven and they don't need much babying. They don't need any looking after. And, you know, I don't know, they're really easy. So is that something I definitely shouldn't do? Is there a reason why we boil these potatoes? Just out of curiosity. Right, okay, guys. So I'm going to pop these in the pan. One got away. Okay, let them get boiling for about, I think I want them boiling for about 10 minutes or until they're fork tender. So I'll try those in about 10 minutes. It's boiling on a medium to high heat. just as you would boil potatoes, I guess. So yes, while they are boiling, I'm going to get my pastry out of the fridge. So I'll just move this along. Okay, everybody, here is my rested pastry. It's been in the fridge for 2 hours. Have a look. Let's see, it's nicely rolled. You can see a few little specks of butter in there. Nothing too major, no massive pieces. It's got these like gorgeous little specks from all of the spices, and it smells heavenly. So there we are. There is my pastry. But before I roll out the pastry, I need to melt a stick of butter in a skillet. So let me grab that. Okay, so I nearly skipped a crucial step there. So I need to melt a stick of butter in a skillet, because that is going to be how I grease my skillet. That is going to have the pie crust cooking in it, and I can't forget that. So I'm just going to pop a stick of butter, which is about 113 grams apparently. So I've got my stick of butter here. I'm just going to pre-chop it up a little bit, and I'm going to pop it in the skillet now to brown. There we are. It's getting nice and toasty. Look at this cute little fella over here, this little skillet. So here we are. Here's the butter melting away. We're going to brown that off. So we're going to cook it until it has that lovely, nutty kind of fragrance about it. And then we're going to pour the majority, half to kind of the majority of this into the skillet. I'm going to bake the sweet potato pie in. And we're going to reserve some back because some of this browned butter is going to go into the sweet potato mix. So foamy. Right, okay, we're getting those lovely nutty aromas there. I'd say that is done. We're getting some slight colour. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want this butter to catch. So there we are. Right, let's get about, Kent says, 2 tablespoons worth on my skillet. We just want to grease it, so we don't think we need more than that. A little bit more. And we'll leave that to one side because we're going to add it to the sweet potato mix later on. So I'm just greasing the bottom here. There we go. So I'm going to put this to one side now. And I'm going to try and unravel my pastry. So I'll pop that there. Please be good. Please behave, pastry. Okay. It's very good. See this? With ease. I can take this off my tray now. Off there. Ooh. Nice. Behaved. Pastry dough. Oh my gosh, it just does exactly what you want it to, and it doesn't stick. It's not unmanageable. It's a lovely, lovely dough to handle. Fabulous. Right, so now I am going to drape this over the skillet. I think I have a lot of pastry here, guys. A lot more than I thought I would. So this is definitely going to cover this skillet. I could have probably done it in a bigger one. But let's have a look. It's going to come quite far up the side, isn't it? Very nice. So by the time I press it in, maybe it's, oh yeah, a lot of pastry. I kind of like that nice fluted edge from like folding the sides over each other. Wonder if I can do that. See, normally I would use like a flan dish or a pie tin that's got fluted edges. So I would just press them in and it would give it that lovely, like kind of wavy edge to it. So this is not, it's not going to be as pretty as Can's. But there we go. It's still, you know, it's still a beautiful looking pie case. Let's see. What do you think, guys? Do you think I have to trim it back? Because it's, look at this. So I'm going to grab a knife and I'm just going to trim it right back because otherwise these are going to catch, aren't they? So maybe I should weight it down before I cut it. Okay, so I've got some parchment paper, some baking paper. So I'm going to line the base with because I'm using my baking beads here and they are ceramic little baking beads. I know Kent doesn't use parchment paper when he uses beans, but I have used these baking beads before and they have almost baked into the pastry. And I don't want that to happen again. So here we go. Pour these in. So it's going to weigh down the pastry case. I forgot to pierce this with a fork. I knew there was something I was forgetting. There we go. Be kind. Let me do it now. There we are. Now we're piercing this because we don't want the base to puff up. So this will keep it deflated. And then the beads or beans, whichever you've got hanging around. I have, you know, the baking beads, so I'm going to use them. But you could use beans like Kent does. So there we are. And now I am going to trim this back with a knife. Let me check the sweet potatoes before I do that. Ooh, we're nearly ready. They're nearly there. I think I may have just made this trickier for myself by adding the parchment paper and the beads first. So we've got no tears, no holes in the pastry case. It's all very straightforward. It's all gone to plan. But I have rolled an awful lot of pastry. Well, now I'm worrying that I rolled it too thin. Maybe my skillet's just a little bit smaller than what Kent was using. This pastry is lovely. It's so easy to cut. Look, the knife just goes straight through it. It's giving me a nice clean edge. Just watch my fingers. It's just lovely. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I have made life a lot more difficult for myself. I should have done this before I put the beads in. We live and learn. I don't want to catch my new cast iron. There we go. And I've got some reserved pastry there for later. What can I do with that? Make another one. There we go. Take that off there. Right, just before I take my sweet potatoes off and drain, this is my pastry case. I quite like the rustic look of the little folded over edges. So this is going to go in my preheated oven. Now, Kent says his oven should be 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about, because we operate in Celsius, it's about 175, maybe 180 degrees Celsius. Now, I have a fan oven, so I'm going to have to reduce that by another 20 degrees. So whenever I'm normally cooking cakes or just most things in my oven, it will go on 160 degrees. So I've gone playing it safe. We're on 160 degrees on a fan oven. So yes, this is going in for 8 to 10 minutes. I'll check on it after 8 minutes. And wish me luck, guys. In it goes. We're just blind baking, so, you know, still wish me luck. So here we are. Sweet potatoes. Gently inserting the fork. Yeah, it's just going through them like butter. I'd say they're ready. Let's drain these. Okie dokie, guys. Now I'm just waiting just for the sweet potatoes to kind of get all of that moisture out of there, so there's not any excess water. I don't want to introduce any excess moisture into this because I imagine it could probably, I don't know what, but it might do something to the texture of the sweet potato mix. I don't want to do that. So we're going for consistency and accuracy, aren't we, guys? Right, so I have my trusty electric hand mixer to make life a little bit more easier for me today. But I am going to be mashing these sweet potatoes until smooth and then adding the rest of the ingredients. So I think they've still got a little bit of moisture in them. Might give them a few more minutes. Steaming away there. So I did notice that this recipe wasn't actually in Kent's cookbook, so I had to go looking for it online. Just easy enough, isn't it, guys? But yes, I was quite surprised that it wasn't in with the rest of Kent's recipes. Maybe he does like a Thanksgiving edition, like maybe a Thanksgiving recipes book. But yes. So I think these are, I'm going to say they're done. I'm going to say they're ready. So into the bowl we go. My masher. Yes. Lovely and boiled. Again, guys, if this was roasted sweet potatoes, would it make that much of a difference to the flavour? I quite like that extra caramelization that you get from baking sweet potatoes. So I am very curious, could you do this with baked sweet potatoes? So get them a little bit smoother. I love the smell of sweet potatoes. So aromatic. Right, I think that's plenty because by the time I've got the electric hand whisker, it's going to make it a lot smoother. Right, so into this, we are using the rest of our brown butter. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a mix. Lovely. In we pop. Gosh, that smells delicious. You can't beat browned butter, can you, guys? Pop them over there. Now, we're going to go in with the sugar next. So, one thing I need to mention is that I didn't have any light brown sugar. I have dark brown sugar. I always have that in the cupboards. And white sugar, castor and granulated. Lots of different types of sugar. There's demerara that's in there. But on this occasion, I didn't have any light brown. So I added up the quantities of all of the sugar and I just divided it, not quite evenly. There's less brown sugar than there is white sugar. So I'm hoping this won't affect things too much. I don't think it will. So let's go in with the sugar. And our mixture of spices. So in here, I've got my teaspoon of salt, I've got a teaspoon of clove, I have a teaspoon of allspice, a teaspoon of ginger and a teaspoon of nutmeg. Now, I feel like cinnamon's missing. Why would we omit cinnamon from this? Because we've got, I don't know, it's kind of like like a bit of a holy trinity of flavours, isn't it? I would normally associate wherever we're adding ginger and nutmeg, cinnamon's normally there. So is there a reason why we omit cinnamon in this? Because we did use cinnamon in the pastry. So just curious. Anyway, let's add this. Lovely. We'll give this a quick mix. That's it for now. Ooh, it is dripping everywhere and scrape down all that lovely excess sweet potato. And now I'm going to go in with, let's put the vanilla in. So I'm using my good vanilla today. So this is vanilla bean paste. And I love this stuff, I swear by it, guys. So much flavour. So get a teaspoon in there. I want to get all of those nice little vanilla seeds. I'm just going to check on my pastry. So there's a slight little bit of shrinkage, but I imagine we'd expect that, wouldn't we? It doesn't look like too much, but there is a slight little bit of it shrinking away. Okay, and now I'm going to get something to scrape this down because this is condensed milk and it's gorgeous, it's lovely, but it is so sticky. So let's get my spatula. In you go, chaps, come on. Get that in there. There's about 4 tablespoons of this. Here we go. And 1/3 of a cup of the evaporated milk going in there as well. There we are. And 3 eggs. 4 cackleberries. 1 cackleberry. 2 cackleberries. And 3 cackleberries. Right, okie dokie guys. So I'm going to give this a mix. Ooh, shall we add that extra little bit? There's possibly like 1/4 of it left. I don't know. What do you think? I think it seems a little bit runny. I'm gonna make an executive decision, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna add that so we get a little bit of a thicker consistency. I think that was a good decision. I'll show you guys. You can tell me what you think. Pop these there. What do you think? Woof! Can you see? Is this the consistency that I'm looking for? I think so. So it's about time to get the pastry out. So I'm just going to check that. I've made a mess everywhere as well. So guys, I have decided to add a little bit more flour because it wasn't quite pancake batter consistency, as Kent says. So I've thickened it with what was probably another 30 grams of plain flour. I think I probably acted a little bit too quickly and mashed up my sweet potatoes. They should have been left to let a little bit more moisture out after they've been drained. So I think I've incorporated like a little bit of liquid in there. So yes, I've added a little bit more flour, just in case anyone's wondering. It is thick enough. I would say that's pancake batter consistency now. So we are just waiting on the pie crust. We're waiting for the sides to brown ever so slightly. So we're nearly there. I'm going to give it another check actually. Yeah, I'd say we're there. It's so heavy. Oof. Is it? There we go. interestingly, I would say this pastry has, like, you can see like quite a fair bit of lamination going on there. It really is like a rough puff pastry. Not quite as much lamination going on as a puff, but I would say I would definitely say it's what we would call a rough puff pastry over here. And you can see that gorgeous lamination, those layers of pastry up the sides, which is really interesting. Let's get these baking beads out. Ooh, now I can instantly feel the bottom of this has puffed up quite a bit. So hopefully that'll shrink back down. In you go, fellas. Thank you for your service today. They're very hot. Do not touch these ceramic beads. They keep their heat so very, very well. I suppose they kind of assist in the baking process as well because they're maintaining that heat and evenly distributing it along the base as well, but from the top. I literally think these ceramic baking beads are about, I think they're like 10 years old. They could possibly be older than that. One of my handy, trusty kitchen instruments. Okay. Let's pop that in the bin. So I think because I've used parchment paper here, the base isn't too cooked. So what I am going to do, I'm going to pop it back in the oven to make sure that it's evenly cooked on the base here, because we can't have a soggy bottom, can we? So it's going back in just for a few minutes until it's more evenly cooked. I'm hoping the sides, they're not quite browned yet, so it could probably afford to go in for a few minutes longer. So I'll be back with you in a minute, guys. So I've put it has returned to the oven, everybody. I've put it back in. I don't feel like it was fully cooked. I feel like it was still a little bit raw on the base, on the bottom, once I took the baking beads off. So I've returned it to the oven. I feel like it's a lot more cooked now. I think I've rolled it a bit thick. So the crust is going to be thicker than I think it's meant to be. But you know what? That's okay. I like pastry, it's fine. So yes, there's been quite a bit of shrinkage away from the sides as well. If you guys have any tips on how to avoid that, please let me know. But yeah, a little bit more shrinkage than I was expecting. So I think this entire mix, it's going to be too much for it. So realistically, I could have used the same amount of pastry, rolled it slightly thinner, and just gone up a size in skillet. So, you know, looking back is a wonderful thing, isn't it? So next time I would definitely go up a size. So this is my 10-inch skillet, my medium-sized skillet. And yeah, looking back now, I should have sized up to a 12-inch. That would have been perfect. So this mix, I'm not going to be using all of it in this pastry case. I don't, you know, it's going to overflow where the case has shrunk away. And I don't want that to happen. So I think I might just keep it and make another one. I've got leftover pastry. I've got leftover mix. It just makes sense. So I'm going to be using about half of it in this. So here we are, pouring it in. Ooh, lovely consistency. What kind of rise am I going to get out of this? Is there no rise at all? I imagine there's going to be some because we've got eggs in there. So I'll take it as high up to the sides as I can. I definitely don't want it overflowing. There we are. I'm quite comfortable with that. It's making a mess. So here we are. Here is our sweet potato pie ready to go into the oven. It's a thing of beauty. It's looking very nice. It's very rustic with the that lovely crust up the side of the skillet. So this is ready to go in. It is looking, I would say that's looking like Kent's sweet potato pie at this point before it goes into the oven. It's a little bit darker in colour than a lot of sweet potato pies I've seen images of, but I think that might be, maybe we've just got a different ratio of brown sugar to white sugar, which makes sense, obviously. So anyway, guys, I do an awful lot of talking, as you know. Let's pop it in the oven. So this is going to go in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. I'm probably going to say it's going to need the 30 minutes because of my very thick pastry crust there. But I'm going to check it after 25 anyway. So I will let you know. In it goes. May the baking gods be with me. Wish me luck, guys. Get that on. Right, everyone, it's time to take it out. I think it's ready. Ooh, okay. So it's risen. Give me that bird in my hand. There we go. Ooh, okay. What do you think, guys? Does that crack mean too much? I hope it's not like a cheesecake. Maybe it'll shrink back down. Okay, so let's do some troubleshooting. I've got a big crack here and it's in like a kind of dome, which is more over to the left-hand side here. So is that an indicator that my oven was too hot, but it's unevenly heating? Or is this because I've had too much excess liquid in the mix maybe? Or is it that additional flour? What do you think, guys? Let me know. Or is this completely normal and it's just going to shrink back in on itself? It's already slowly shrinking in. So maybe it won't impact that too much. These cracks only kind of appeared over the last 5 minutes. So I checked it about 5 minutes ago and it didn't have these cracks on it. So they have only appeared. So is it overcooked a little bit, do you think? They are slowly, as it shrinks back in, these cracks are disappearing. So I'll have to leave it to cool and I'll check back in on it. We've got these lovely, the pastry on the side here. It's lovely and evenly cooked. None of it's caught. I'm just wondering if maybe it's been in the oven for like a little bit too long. Let's leave it to cool down and I will come back to this lovely sweet potato pie and I will be making Kent's cream. I forget what the name of his cream was. I don't know. It's got brown sugar and whatnot in it, so yummy. So I will be back as soon as this is cooled and we will prepare that whipped cream. I'll catch you in a minute. All right then, okay, so while this sweet potato pie, which smells amazing as well, while this is cooling down, I am going to make our cream. So initially I thought I was going to coat the whole top of it in cream. I'm not. So I'm going to dollop it on each slice, I think. So I'm going to half the amount of cream that Kent makes. So here we have about 300 mils of double cream here. I'm going to use pretty much most of it because in Kent's recipe, he makes a pint. So I'm going to do half of that. And a pint is roughly, it's just under 600 milliliters. My container is about 300 milliliters. So I'm just doing a little bit less. Right, okay, so we're going to mix up the cream. Okay, there we are. Just tap off any excess there. Right, now we are going to add sugar. So I've measured myself out about, well, in Kent's original recipe, it was 1/4 cup of brown sugar mixed with 1/4 cup of white sugar. So I've halved that. So again, converting, I've probably got about 50 grams in total. So 1/4 cup total And there's even amounts of each in there. And I've given it a good mix so it's nice and evenly distributed in the container here. So there goes our sugar. And so fine cinnamon. There it is. Cinnamon and cloves. Here it is. My little measurers. And I'm going to measure out, oh, so in Ken's recipe, it was a teaspoon, wasn't it? So I should probably put half in. Although I do like cinnamon. I'm happy to have a whole teaspoon in there. So half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And again, I'm going to be very, very stingy with my measurement of cloves. So the recipe does call for a tablespoon of cloves. It's not my favorite. I like it, but I like it in moderation. So I'm going to put a small bit in there. A very, very stingy quantity in there. I find it very overpowering. So pop that back there. And then I'm going to mix these through with a spoon. That will do. So it's going to be quite, a darker coloured cream. It's not as dark as I thought it was going to be, actually. Like a very slight kind of coffee colour tint to it. Obviously from the brown sugar and the cinnamon and the cloves. There we are. I think that is whipped enough for my lovely sweet potato pie here. So I'm gonna cut into the pie. Let's see. I think it's cooled enough. So if you want Hannah, have a look there, guys. It's looking good. I'm a little bit worried that I overbaked it. But let me know, guys. Rate my sweet potato pie. Did I massively overcook it? Right. I'm going to go in for this section. The pie crust is lovely and crispy. I don't know if you can hear that there, crunching away. Now I'm being very, very precious with my cast iron. I'm so scared. I'm going to scratch it. So I'm using my lovely wooden utensils there from the wonderful Skip. Thank you, my friend. And if I'm actually struggling to get all the way through it. There we go. Yes, I am babying my cast iron. I want to keep it in this lovely condition for as long as possible. So just like that. I am going to manhandle this. Okay. This is a completely new texture to me. I don't actually know what to expect from this. First time ever trying sweet potato pie. And I am butchering it a little bit. There we go. Pop that to one side. Yeah, what do we think? So I will say, I think I have got a little bit of a soggy bottom on here for my pastry because, like I said, I think I rolled it too thick. So I should have rolled it a little bit thinner. But there we go. What do you think? Is this how it should appear? I'm going to put a dollop of cream on it and I'm going to give it a good old taste test. Come on now. There we go. Now my pie hasn't cooled completely, so it's still a little bit warm, so the cream is going to slip and slide all over the place. So what do you think, guys? Try and keep that on there. Oh, it looks delicious. It smells. It smells amazing.
It goes up like.
Right, here I go. Want me some of that cream? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting to, I was expecting it to taste of sweet potatoes, but it doesn't, like, at all. I don't think, if I tasted this, not knowing what it was, and someone told me that was made mainly with sweet potatoes, I don't think I'd believe them. I'm going to try some without the cream. The pastry on the bottom is not as crisp as on the outside, but I'm not missing that. It doesn't taste soggy. The texture of that sweet potato pie, it's hard to explain. We don't have a texture similar to it at all. It's quite. I thought it was going to be a little bit cakey. It's not at all. It's texturally, I suppose the closest I can compare it to is a good squishy brownie. So it's that kind of good gooiness. Not even gooey. It's soft. And try some of this cream on its own as well. Kent, that cream is amazing. I've never thought to put brown sugar in whipped cream before, and it is lovely. I'd go as far as to say that cream is to actually die for. That is heavenly. It's lovely. And the sweet potato pie, guys, I've not tasted anything like this before. It's a completely new texture to me, but it's comforting. It's warm. It's like, it tastes of autumn, doesn't it? It tastes of fall. Those gorgeous seasonings in it, those warm spices. And I was worried that the clove was going to be very overpowering. It's not at all. That could probably do with more. I did say I was quite stingy with it, didn't I? Do you know, if I used the whole teaspoon of cloves in that it would be perfectly fine. And in the cream as well, funnily enough, like it could probably do with a little bit more clove. So I can't stop eating it. Do you eat this once it's completely cooled and you eat it cold? Or do you like it warm? Because this sweet potato pie here, it's still warm, like warm brownie straight from the oven. And I don't know, I think I prefer it that way. It's so soft. And now I'm curious what the texture is like when it's completely cooled. Oh, guys, that's lovely. Oh, I'm in heaven. I'm gonna sit here and eat the whole thing. So I should probably stop and say goodbye. So I'm completely won over by this. This is absolutely gorgeous. Guys, I'm going to try some of the really flaky pastry on the side there. Oh my gosh. That flaky pie crust is absolutely amazing. I did think maybe I would miss the sugar that I would normally incorporate into like a sweet pastry case. But funnily enough, I'm not. Like, there's no sugar in that at all. But I'm not craving it. You get so much sweetness from the filling itself. Oh, it's just how flaky it is. And the cinnamon in it. And again, the cloves. This has actually converted me to cloves. I like it a lot more than I thought I would. There's just nothing similar in the UK. You can't describe this to a British person without them trying it. So for any of our British viewers out there, I would say do not knock this until you try it because it's fabulous. It is, I don't want to describe another food item as being like a hug, but it kind of is. It's a lovely autumn hug when it's cold outside and, you know, and this, it's warming. It is so comforting. Guys, you know, for me though, it's all about this pie crust on the outside. I want the piece from the outside so I can incorporate that pie crust. Delicious. Right, guys, I've had to tear myself away from this gorgeous piece of pie. I can't stop eating it. It's absolutely amazing. So before I go, I want to say a massive, massive thank you to my wonderful friend Skip for supplying me with these amazing cast iron skillets and the Dutch oven and the beautiful, beautiful utensils that went with them as well. I am officially converted. I am loving using these cast iron skillets to bake. I'm going to look for more cast iron. I think I'd like a cake tin, you know, or a pie tin. I'm totally converted. This is the way forward. They are absolutely amazing. They are superior in every way, guys. Go out, buy yourselves some cast iron. They are absolutely amazing. So thank you once again, Skip. Thank you so much. Thank you. And again, a massive thank you to all of you who watch this channel, for all of your support, for all of the likes, for all of the comments, taking the time to comment. Thank you so, so much. I'm so unbelievably grateful for all of you. Thank you. I'm still very, very overwhelmed that we've got past 20,000 subscribers. It's unreal. It hasn't sunk in yet. But thank you so much. Really, truly, I do thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. It means the world to me. So thank you so much, everybody. And it's goodbye from me for now, so I can eat the rest of my pie. And thank you once again. I will catch you on the next video, guys. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.